Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Robertson Media Center at UVA. Today we're going to continue our introduction to the Canon RP by discussing how to record audio, and then we'll look at the post-production process for your video and photo files.
Unfortunately, there's only one audio input on this camera, and it's an 1/8 inch 3.5 millimeter monaural input. As I said before, this is a major limitation if you're using this camera for video, and I'd recommend a separate audio recorder if you're an advanced user and need high quality sound. Before going further with audio settings, set your camera to movie recording on your shooting mode dial. For an external microphone, insert it into the audio input on the side of the camera. This camera should automatically switch to the mic input when you plug in a microphone. The RP also has an internal microphone, but I wouldn't recommend it for advanced users unless you want to scratch track to sync your audio later. But if you're a beginner and just need some audio with your video, it could be adequate. Now let's look at the menu options for audio. Select Menu and go to the first page of the camera menu, and you'll see Sound Recording. If you're a beginner, set this to Auto. For advanced users, turn it to Manual, unless you just want a scratch track. Auto will constantly adjust volume, which will not sound professional. To set recording volume, press Q and navigate to Audio Recording Level, and use the arrows to turn up or down the volume of the recording. Of course, this only works in manual audio mode. Be sure to measure how loud the volume is by doing a sound check before recording. You can see the levels bouncing on the screen. I would also recommend you turn on levels on your video monitor by pressing the Info button until they appear. Below recording volume in the Q menu is the confusingly labeled volume. This is the volume of the headphones that are plugged into the headphone jack. This does not change the volume of the recording, and honestly, this can be a huge cause of confusion for users. To transfer files, we recommend transferring directly from the SD card. There are SD card readers available for checkout in the RMC, and all of our iMacs have SD card slots on the back. The SD card will show up on your device like a flash drive or external drive does, and then copy the files to somewhere safe. Just a warning to avoid changing the file structure on the SD card. If you do, you may need to format the card before the Canon RP can read it again, thus deleting all your previous files. The RP can also transfer files from the USB port, but to do this, you'll also need to download the Canon software and drivers available on their website, linked in the description below. Regardless of your file type, you should always keep a backup of the unprocessed video or photo files someplace safe. For files, let's start by discussing video files. Canon records its video files to MPEG-4 H.264. The audio format is AAC. These files should be easy to open in any video editor, including iMovie. For a beginner, you can even directly upload them to a hosting site like YouTube, which has a simple video editor built in. If you're recording to UHD 4K, these files are large and may make the editing software too slow to function properly. Depending on your resolution, your computer speed, etc., you may need to process your files before editing, or if you're moving the files directly into your nonlinear editor, like Premiere or DaVinci Resolve, you may want to create proxy files. Proxy files are temporary video files in a lower resolution that are then replaced by full resolution files when you export. Now let's talk about photo files. Depending on your image quality settings, which we discussed in detail in video 2 of this series, you may get different kinds of photo files. There are two categories of files you may find on your SD card after taking photos: JPEG files and RAW files. JPEG is a digital image compression format that significantly reduces file size in exchange for a lower quality image. The JPEG compression by the RP will not be noticeable for most users, unless the image will be shown or printed exceptionally large. However, JPEGs don't stand up to digital manipulation as well as RAW files. If you plan to heavily process the images or print large, high-quality photos, this file type may not meet your standards. Also, once you perform the compression, there's no way to retrieve the lost image data from the file. That means you cannot get the raw pixels back. And if you resize the image, any additional pixels are lost forever. This is why low-resolution images cannot be made into high-resolution images. There isn't any information to fill in the gaps. JPEGs are extremely versatile and can be opened by almost any digital device without conversion. It is the most widely used compression standard in the world, especially for transferring images on the internet. So after you transfer the JPEG, simply open it with the program of your choice. RAW files are uncompressed, or pretty close to it. They are much more capable of handling heavy manipulation and can be printed large without the quality issues associated with JPEGs. CRAW is Canon's proprietary format that is nearly RAW, but 40% smaller. Many users find the files to be indistinguishable, but a professional photographer may still prefer true RAW files. All RAW photo files must be opened with a compatible program. This makes them more difficult to deal with, so beginners should start with JPEGs. They are not common file types, and they should not be handed in for a project unless explicitly mentioned by your instructor. To open a RAW file, get Canon's RAW utility on their website, linked in the description.
Coming up next, we'll cover some do's and don'ts for this camera. So stay with us.